Types of solutions like gas in gas, liquid in gas, solid in gas. That we will learn as gaseous solutions and gas in liquid, liquid in liquid, solid in liquid. These three are what we call liquid solutions. And similarly, gas in solid, liquid in solid, and also solid in solid. The three are solid solutions. And in this liquid solutions lesson, we need to focus more on liquid solutions. And the first one is gas in the liquid solutions. So we are going to discuss today gas in liquid solutions. Generally, gases are soluble in either water or any solvent, whether in greater extent or lesser extent. So maybe few gases are going to dissolve in water a little bit more, and few gases are going to dissolve in water very less. Of course, some extent or great extent, gases are going to dissolve in water or any other solvent. Solubility of gas generally plays an important role in our daily life also. Because of oxygen is going to dissolve in water, aquatic lives can survive. Because of oxygen dissolves in water, aquatic lives can survive. Otherwise, they cannot take breath. Similarly, in our soda drink or aerated drinks or soft drinks, which contains carbon dioxide at high pressure. So, carbon dioxide in general less soluble at ordinary pressure. But when we are going to apply high pressure or when we are going to seal at high pressure, obviously dissolution of carbon dioxide a little bit more. Solution of gas in liquid expressed in terms of absorption coefficient. Solution of gas in liquid expressed in terms of absorption coefficient. So what is this absorption coefficient? Absorption coefficient or dissolution coefficient of gas. Absorption coefficient or dissolution coefficient of gas indicated with alpha. It is nothing but volume of gas in ml, volume of gas in ml dissolved in 1 ml of solvent. Volume of gas dissolved in ml means we need to measure the gas volume in milliliters or centimeter cube, and how much volume of gas is going to dissolve in 1 ml solvent. 1 ml solvent. Let us suppose if a small v ml gas is going to dissolve in capital V ml solvent. Capital V ml solvent. Then we have to say V ml of gas is going to dissolve in V ml of solvent. Small v ml of gas dissolve in capital V ml of solvent. Generally, absorption coefficient for 1 ml of solvent. So for 1 ml, how much it will be? Small v by capital V. Small v by capital V, right? Now this will happen at a constant temperature and pressure. At a different temperature, and at a particular pressure, what ml or what volume of gas is going to dissolve in 1 ml of solvent. Then absorption coefficient or dissolution coefficient alpha is equal to small v by capital V into P. Small v by capital V into P. Generally, pressure we are using STP, means standard temperature pressure, means pressure will be 1 atmosphere. Pressure will be 1 atmosphere. So, based upon absorption coefficient and dissolution coefficient, this value is different for different gases. Even though solvent we are using same. Let us see what are the factors affecting solubility of gas in solvent. First one, factors affecting solubility of gas. In that first one, nature of solute means nature of gas and solvent. Nature of solute and solvent, or nature of gas and solvent. Here, we know that there are two types of solvents, polar and non-polar. For polar, generally we can set example water, and for non-polar we can use ether, alcohols, like that. Generally, gases, there are few types of gases which are having high critical temperature. High critical temperature, TC, generally indicated with TC. More the critical temperature of the gas, more the ease of liquefaction, or more the tendency of liquefaction, more the critical temperature of the gas, more the ease of liquefaction, more the ease of liquefaction, more the solubility of gas. I am repeating, more the critical temperature, more the critical temperature, more the ease of liquefaction, more the ease of liquefaction, more the solubility of gas. That means those gases which are having high critical temperature, they have more tendency to liquefy. And those gases which are having more tendency to liquefy, that gases have more solubility. Let us see one more. Ease of liquefaction also depending upon intermolecular forces. Intermolecular forces also related to molecular weight. So those gases which are having high molecular mass, they have more tendency to liquefy. That means more the molecular weight of the gas, generally more the solubility of that gas in liquids, generally in water. Now, oxygen, nitrogen, helium, these gases are having relatively small, means less molecular weight gases. Solubility in water also less molecular weight gases has less solubility in water. More molecular weight gases like sulfur dioxide, ammonia, HCl. Of course, not only here factor molecular weight, but also they are going to react with water. For example, HCl react with water and converts into H3O plus Cl minus. Similarly, NH3 dissolves in water and it converts into NH4OH. That means HCl and ammonia are going to react with water, and because of reaction with water, their solubility is more. So far what we learned, more the critical temperature, more the ease of liquefaction, more the solubility. That is first point. And next one, more the molecular weight of the gas, more the solubility of the gas, more the molecular weight of the gas, more the solubility of the gas. And beyond of that, those gases which can react with water, and their solubility is more. For example, carbon dioxide, nitrogen, oxygen, hydrogen. Observe the solubility of these gases in water. Which one is more and which one is less? Let us see. Carbon dioxide, nitrogen, oxygen, and hydrogen. Carbon dioxide has molecular mass 44, nitrogen has molecular mass 28, oxygen has molecular mass 32, and hydrogen has molecular mass 2. So based upon these molecular weights, we can identify solubility of carbon dioxide is greater than, oxygen is greater than, nitrogen is greater than hydrogen. More the molecular weight, more the solubility. So oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen, these solubilities are less in water, we can say. But if you change the solvent, like instead of water, if we are using non-polar or less polar solvents like ethyl alcohol, in such a case, their solubility is very high. Means oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon dioxide, these gases are more soluble in ethyl alcohol. Whereas less soluble in water. Means here nature of solute means nature of gas, and also nature of solvent. Both are important here. if even solvent is same, we cannot expect the same solubility for all gases. We cannot expect same solubility for all gases. Similarly, if we change the solvent and those gases which are less soluble in water, the same gases may be more soluble in ethyl alcohol. Here, that variation we can notice. That variation we can notice means in water, all this means what we said here, oxygen, nitrogen are less soluble. But the same gases are more soluble in ethyl alcohol. Second factor is temperature. Generally, solid in liquid solution we are expecting with increase in temperature, solubility of solute increases. For example, at a particular temperature, a glass of water, if you consider, in which 1 or 2 tablespoons of sugar can be dissolved. So that particular temperature, if 1 tablespoon sugar is added, then such solution is what we call unsaturated solution. What amount of solute can be dissolved? If we are adding that much amount, then such solutions what we call saturated solutions. So when we increase the temperature to saturated solution, we can add more amount of solute. That means we can prepare supersaturated solution. Unsaturated, saturated and supersaturated. With increasing temperature, solubility of solids in liquids generally increases. But here we cannot expect the same. Here, with increase in temperature, gases solubility decreases. With increase in temperature, gases solubility decreases. That means we can say solubility of gas is inversely proportional to temperature. So why solubility of gas is inversely proportional to temperature? What happened? Why that happens? Let us see. So here, suppose a gas when dissolved in a solvent, liquid, we are getting solution, and dissolution of gas is always exothermic. That means we are getting heat. Since dissolution is exothermic, forward reaction is exothermic, means energy liberated, and backward reaction is endothermic, means it absorbs energy. Forward reaction is exothermic and backward reaction is endothermic. When we increase temperature, endothermic reaction more favors than exothermic reaction. When we increase temperature, endothermic reaction more favors than exothermic reaction. That means backward reaction takes place more. I'm repeating. Let us consider a vessel. It consists of solvent in which gas is going to dissolve. Here, the process in which gas is dissolved in the liquid is called dissolution of the gas. And up to a certain extent, gas is getting dissolved, and after that, dissolved gas starts to evolve. Means the process what we call evolution. So there are two processes takes place, and the process what we call dissolution and evolution. Forward reaction is dissolution of the gas, and backward reaction is evolution of the gas, and these two exist in equilibrium. That's what we call dynamic equilibrium. Even though after attainment of equilibrium, dissolution and evolution continuously takes place. Now, when we increase the temperature, rate of dissolution is less than rate of evolution. Backward reaction takes place more because with increase in temperature, endothermic reaction more favors rather than exothermic. Hence, backward reaction takes place more. Now, here evolution takes place more. That means with increase in temperature, solubility of gas decreases. Clausius provide one equation. For a dissolution of solid, log S base E is equal to minus delta H by RT plus constant. So from where we are getting this, that we will discuss later, not now. Here this is the relation between solubility of gas and temperature. Solubility of gas and temperature. Log S base C. This one also we can write as ln S is equal to minus delta H by RT plus constant. At two different temperatures, say at T1 temperature solubility is S1, at T2 temperature solubility is S2. At T1 temperature solubility is S1, at T2 temperature solubility is S2. Then we can write log S2 by S1 here base 10. I used to convert that base C into log base 10. So log S2 by S1 is equal to delta H by 2.303 R of 1 by T1 minus 1 by T2. Here, with increase in temperature, solubility of any gas decreases. Simple. Why decreases? Because of during dissolution of a gas, there are two processes takes place simultaneously. One is dissolution, another one is evolution. Here, at a particular temperature, rate of dissolution and rate of evolution both takes place simultaneously and both are equal, and that state what we call equilibrium state, that will be established. And even though after attainment of equilibrium, forward reaction, backward reaction both takes place continuously. Now, when we increase the temperature, since forward reaction is exothermic and backward reaction is endothermic, backward reaction takes place more with increase in temperature. That means compared to dissolution, evolution more takes place. That's why solubility of gas decreases. That one mathematically classes given equation, that is log S base E is equal to minus delta H by RT minus delta H by RT plus constant. When we apply this equation at two different intervals of temperature, say T1 temperature solubility is S1, T2 temperature solubility is S2, then we are getting expression log base 10. Log S2 upon S1 base 10 is equal to delta H by R of 2.303 R of 1 by T1 minus 1 by T2. This is the effect of temperature. Third factor, effect of pressure. So far we learned in factors, nature of liquid and gas, and second factor, temperature, how temperature influences solubility of gas and liquid. Now third factor is effect of pressure. Solubility of gas is directly proportional to pressure of the gas which exerted over the solution. So assume that here this is liquid and in this liquid gas is going to dissolve. As we learned earlier, dissolution and evolution both takes place simultaneously and ultimately they attain equilibrium state. Now, once it attains equilibrium, what pressure it is exerting, means what pressure gas is exerting, then what we call partial pressure of the gas. So solubility of any gas is directly proportional to partial pressure of that particular gas over that solution. So partial pressure of the gas over the solution. All this thing happens at a definite temperature, means at a constant temperature, solubility of a gas is directly proportional to partial pressure of that gas over the solution. When you are going to mix two or more gases, then their solubility also depends upon and their solubility related to their partial pressures. So suppose if oxygen, nitrogen and hydrogen, these three gases are going to dissolve. If oxygen is more in quantity, then solubility of oxygen is directly proportional to partial pressure of that oxygen, and solubility of hydrogen also directly proportional to partial pressure of hydrogen, like that. Now, in order to explain nature of effect of pressure upon solubility of a gas, William Henry proposed Henry's law. Solubility, if you consider as mass, if solubility is taken as mass of gas dissolved per unit volume of solvent, as we learned that previously, that is the absorption coefficient. then mass of gas dissolved per unit volume of solvent, and P is the pressure of gas at equilibrium with its solution. P is the pressure of the gas which is in equilibrium with its solution. Then M is proportional to P. I am repeating, when M is mass of the gas dissolved and P is pressure of the gas which is in equilibrium with its own solution, then M is equal to K into P. M is equal to K into P, where K is proportionality constant. Generally, at 1 atmosphere pressure, we are going to measure a test tube mention. So, at P is equal to 1, M is equal to K. M is equal to K. Now, how can we define this proportionality constant K? If P is equal to 1, M is equal to K, that means K value is different at different temperatures. So here K value, how can we define? Mass of gas dissolved at 1 atmosphere pressure at a given temperature. Mass of gas dissolved at 1 atmosphere pressure at a given temperature. And this K value depends upon nature of gas, nature of solvent, temperature and pressure. So K value depends upon nature of gas and nature of solvent, temperature and pressure. All these influence K value. Now M is equal to Kp. It looks like Y is equal to Mx. If you plot a curve in between M and P, means solubility of gas and pressure of the gas over its solution. So solubility S and pressure of the gas over its solution, we are getting a straight line passing through origin. Here M is the slope. Generally we are going to call this slope is nothing but K. M is equal to K into P. When we plot line in between M versus P, we are getting a straight line whose slope is K. Now we know that slope is nothing but tan theta. Therefore tan theta is equal to K. Right? Now here at P1 pressure, suppose at P1 pressure solubility of gas is M1, at P2 pressure solubility of gas is M2, then we can write M1 by M2 is equal to P1 by P2 at a given temperature, at a definite temperature. Solubility of a gas in a solvent at two different pressures P1 and P2 are given as M1 and M2, then we can write M1 by M2 is equal to P1 by P2. Now, here tan theta mentioned as K value, right? Now, let us draw graph for few gases in between solubility versus pressure. Say, this is a gas this is the line for oxygen gas, and this is the line for nitrogen gas, and this is the line for hydrogen gas. So, if you observe here, for hydrogen, this is theta 1. And for nitrogen, say theta 2, and for oxygen, theta 3. So it is very clear theta 3 is greater than theta 2 greater than theta 1. Theta 3 greater than theta 3 greater than theta 2 greater than theta 1. So with increasing theta value, tan theta value also increases. So with increasing tan theta value, K value also increases. With increasing K value, its solubility also increases because pressure we are going to maintain the same, and the mass of gas dissolved depends upon product of K and P. So mass of gas dissolved or the solubility of gas depends upon these two products. So P is constant, we are going to maintain, and ultimately with increasing K value, solubility of gas also increases. That's why theta 3 greater than theta 2 greater than theta 1. That means solubility of oxygen is greater than solubility of nitrogen is greater than solubility of hydrogen. Now, the same Henry's law we can write in terms of mole fraction also. Solubility of gas, M is proportional to P will end. Now, Henry's law Henry's law, it states that mole fraction of a gas is directly proportional to partial pressure of the gas. Mole fraction of the gas dissolved in a solvent is directly proportional to partial pressure of the gas. So how mole fraction of the gas is directly proportional to partial pressure, let us see. Let us assume W1 is weight of solvent and M1 is molecular weight of solvent. W2 weight of solute means weight of gas or mass of gas. M2 is molecular weight of gas. So W1 and M1 are solvent mass and molecular mass, and W2 M2 are solute means gas weight and molecular weight. As per the concept we learned, mass of gas dissolved is directly proportional to pressure. That means W2 is proportional to pressure. That means W2 is equal to K into P. This we learned so far. Now, in order to find out the relation between mole fraction and partial pressure of the gas, I am going to divide with W1 weight of solvent. W2 by W1 is equal to K by W1 into P. This K by W1 is I am going to mention as K dash into P. So here K dash is nothing but proportionally constant K upon W1. Remember that. And this W2 by W1 we are having, but we want mole fraction. So I want to multiply with the M1 and M2 both, M1 by M2 both sides. K dash into M1 by M2 into P. Shall I? Now this one I am going to write W2 by M2 by W1 by M1 is equal to K dash into M1 upon M2. I am going to write K double dash into P. Since we have K double dash is nothing but K1 into M1 by M2. Here W2 by M2 is nothing but number of moles of solute by number of moles of solvent. N2 by N1 is equal to K double dash into P. Here N2 by N1 I am going to write as N1. Here this N1 is nothing but N1 plus N2. Since for very dilute solutions N1 plus N2 we can write as N1 number of moles of solvent plus number of moles of solute is almost equal to number of moles of solvent, because of the gas dissolved is very less, means the number of moles of gas dissolved is very less. Being very less gas dissolved here, we may neglect this N2 and also we can write as N1. In such a case, I can write directly here N2 by N1 plus N2. If we imagine like this, N2 by N1 as N1, N2 by N1 plus N2. This is nothing but of X2. This is nothing but X2, mole fraction of solute, nothing but number of moles of solute by total number of moles. So X2 is equal to K double dash into P, and P is equal to 1 by K double dash into X2. Here P is equal to 1 by K double dash, P is equal to 1 by K double dash, we can write as KH into X2. This is a Henry's law. P is equal to KH into X2. What is KH here? KH is nothing but 1 by K double dash. KH is nothing but 1 by K double dash. But what is K double dash here? KH is nothing but 1 by K double dash we learned. And what is K double dash? K double dash nothing but K dash into M1 upon M2. And what is K dash? K by W1. That means, let us write here KH is equal to, what do you say? KH is equal to 1 by K double dash. 1 by K double dash means M2 by M1 into K dash, but K dash is K into W1. This is expression of KH. So here Henry's constant KH, and it is different from K double dash, and it is different from K dash, which is different from K.